Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger, and it's a special episode of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. And with me today, I have a wonderful panel of guest critics. Back for more, Mr. Kevin Mosquera.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me again.
Anytime, sir, anytime. And new to the show, Mitch Guerra. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, guys, we're going to be discussing the hugely popular, hugely successful so far Marvel Cinematic Universe film, Deadpool and Wolverine. So far, it has a worldwide box office of about close to $500 million, and that's insane. And this movie has been a long time coming. Deadpool, played by the great Ryan Reynolds. He plays Wade Wilson, the mercenary with the mouth, teamed up with a version of Logan or Wolverine, played by the great Hugh Jackman, reprising his role. I believe the last time was 2017's Logan, so it's really great to see him back. And the two of these great actors playing these great characters, kind of like a buddy comedy, action, sci-fi, fantasy, adventure. And I thought it was fantastic. I've had some serious superhero fatigue, but this movie, I think, has taken me out of that fatigue. So we have a lot to cover because we're going to be doing some spoilers. This will be a spoiler-heavy episode, and this movie has plenty of cameos, plenty of fun stuff. But Kevin, I just want to start with you. First impressions of Deadpool and Wolverine.
I mean, it's what I wanted. It, to me, is, and this I think we could talk about pros and cons. It is a perfect MCU popcorn movie. Full entertainment, lots of comedy, jokes, action sequences on point. How it integrates with everything else, questionable. Okay. But, I mean, I sat down there. It was a 2-hour, 7-minute runtime. It breezed by. It was just flowing.
I wanted more, actually.
Yeah, great version of a event movie, though. This is a movie you want to see with a bunch of people. You want all the cheers, all the gasps, all the laughing in unison with the people you're with and the strangers next to you all having a good time.
I know. We had this same experience last year with Barbie, the year before Top Gun Maverick. So it's just really exciting to have Marvel back in the spotlight. And this is the perfect movie to do that. So, Mitch, what were your thoughts on this film?
Definitely, I would agree with the fact that it was totally an experience. Kevin over there is my uncle, and him and my brother and myself, we go watch every Marvel movie together. So, we have a good litmus test of where these films rank against each other.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can confidently say I don't think there's been an experience up to this level since Endgame. Nice. There's definitely been hype around others like Thor, Ant-Man.
Okay.
Among the Avengers, but this one just blew those out of the water, I thought, personally.
I think in terms of Marvel properties, Marvel shows and movies, I think the Disney Plus series have come close to this level of excitement for me. Like, I loved Loki, I loved Hawkeye, She-Hulk, et cetera, et cetera. But this movie, it's just like kind of almost in a league of its own, because it satisfies every audience member. Every type of person can appreciate this movie. I think. I would hope so. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but
as long as you're 17 or older, rated R.
That's true.
This is the big thing with this one.
The first MCU film to be rated R. That's insane. And I think it's already broken records as being one of the first rated R movies to break 200 million, or
it's the number one rated R movie ever.
It's doing very, very well.
Past Oppenheimer, huh?
Yeah.
And this is just the first weekend. Wow. So this movie's going to do very, very well overall. There's so many spoilers in this movie, and I'm assuming if those who are watching and listening right now, hopefully you've seen it already. So we're about to get into some spoiler territory. And we've got some great cameos, starting with, I believe, Chris Evans as a Fantastic Four character, Johnny Storm. Thank you. And fantastic cameo there. We also have Channing Tatum as Gambit, who's kind of riffing on his failed attempt at having his own standalone film from, I believe it was X-Men, the Wolverine.
It was
It was the Wolverine.
no, the Wolverine was in Japan. I think it was X-Men Origins. Yeah, right.
Was it Origins?
Because
would
it had
make
the
the
guy
most
from
sense.
Friday Night Lights.
Okay. And while we're on the topic of Origins, I believe that was the first appearance of Wade Wilson,
Yes, unfortunately.
who had a strange timeline back then. Kevin, I think you're more of an expert than I am in terms of Marvel lore.
So this is just one where back in the day, well, we could take a step back.
2009.
Right? Fox Studios, right? So this is not even Marvel as we know it right now. This is pre-merger. They were doing that part of the X-Men timeline, so they wanted to, hey, Hugh Jackman's your biggest character. Let's bank on him. Gave him multiple solo films. One of them was Origins. They brought in Wade Wilson as part of the Weapon X program. He was one of many people that was part of a team there. The joke they always make there is he's the merc with the mouth.
Right.
And when he finally turned into the superhero version himself, which looks nothing like the comic book
Right.
version, they sealed his mouth shut.
Right.
Didn't do well in the box office.
I think that was the weakest of the X-Men films, or definitely one of them.
I think
least critically
the
speaking.
Wolverine might be. The one where he goes to Japan, everybody forgets about.
Okay.
I personally love that one.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
if I go
Yeah.
against the critics, there, I'm fine with it. I think that one's great.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I we're not going to do a ranking of all like 35
Too many.
Marvel movies.
Good
'cause
idea.
That'll
We could be
take
here a while.
few weeks to do
Yeah.
to sift through all ever that. But let's just go back to the first Deadpool, which I think was groundbreaking for the time. Ryan Reynolds, pitch perfect in this character's in this role, and it was bloody, it was funny, it was exciting, it was great. They continued it with the second one, which was also good. A very good performance from Josh Brolin as Cable. Of course, great visual effects. Kind of continue that. But then we had a bit of a kind of a hiatus from the Deadpool universe. But I think this film, Deadpool and Wolverine, is a great return to form for the Deadpool character and the story around him, his whole universe.
And it had every chance not to be.
Yeah.
The hiatus is because of the merger. You're talking about Fox. Hey, we're good with R. Get all raunchy, get all silly as you want.
Yeah.
Now you're coming to the House of the Mouse.
Yeah.
Usually good, clean fun,
Yeah.
and usually over-engineered. They want full control. They lightened up the reins on them, let them do their thing, stay
Yeah.
true to form, and gave them the R, and it worked.
Yeah. Well, they know what audiences want, and this movie is exactly what audiences want. And even though it's an R rating, and I think they have made Deadpool action figures, and they've made Wolverine toys too. It would speak to a different generation, though I wouldn't subject kids to this type of movie, even though some parts of it are like kid friendly in a weird way. Like the action sequences, some of them. I don't know.
Agree to disagree. on
Okay.
that.
I don't know. Like this, I've always thought that superhero movies should be for kids, but now in the Marvel universe, they're leaning more towards adult fare. So, Hugh Jackman, fan,
Always, I think he takes this role seriously.
right?
He gives it gravitas. This is a good example, if we're touching a little bit on spoilers, where it's
Yeah.
a different version of Wolverine than what we've seen before. There's a good distinction between this guy and the one we saw in the other movies, and there's some good dramatic scenes that he's selling. And you really don't have to for a silly movie, but he grounds it, he centers it, and yeah, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on?
You could really tell he didn't take this role lightly. I mean, after previously tapping out after Logan, like he once said, to come back and just give it his all was awesome to see on the big screen again.
Yeah, because 2017 was Logan.
That's right.
And here we are. He's back, without skipping a beat, really.
Yeah.
So it's not, and I just love the back and forth between him and Reynolds. Very like they compared it to a little bit like 48 Hours or your typical buddy comedies of the 80s and 90s. And I would even compare it to like Tango and Cash, which was Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. But yeah.
I've heard there was inspiration from a movie I know you like, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah. I could see that too in a weird way. John Hughes classic. Thank you for bringing that up. I want to get back to the spoilers because they're so great. We had a really funny moment with where they kind of mocked the comic book version Wolverine's height.
Oh yeah.
Which is billed as 5'3", which is funny because Hugh Jackman is, I think, 6'3". So it's kind of ridiculous, but they could have met like somewhere in between those heights. Would have been.
For comedy, you have to show the extreme difference.
Right.
I heard the rumor there to match the height difference was that they were going to get Daniel Radcliffe initially. That was the rumor. So I was waiting there in the seat for it, but it never came.
Because he's about 5'6".
Yeah.
Maybe shorter. Kevin Feige. Feige?
I think it's Feige.
Feige.
I haven't had the chance to ask him that.
I think, not yet.
No.
I think this was a very good move on his part to bring this movie to theaters and to bring these characters back to life because we needed this. Like, again, I can't get over the fact at how exciting this movie is. And I hope we get some more movies in the same vein because prior to this, it was a dry spell in terms of Marvel movies, in terms of superhero movies in general. So, these studios are trying to inject new life into the genre. I think Feige did a great job in doing so. And, I'm looking forward to the future here. I think it's bright.
I think I'll partially agree with you. I think maybe not necessarily movies of this vein because that's going to get done. What Marvel did right before, they stopped doing, which is every character, every franchise within Marvel had their own style, usually backed up by their director. There was an Iron Man style. There was an Ant-Man style. There was a Deadpool style. And then what happened? We got it all interconnected to the MCU. Yeah. And then you lose that. Deadpool, they did connect to MCU, but they didn't go hard on it. Right. That's why they were still able to stay true to form. So I do like that Feige's like, maybe you got to go back to the old playbook. But it doesn't necessarily mean everything has to be a Deadpool-like movie. Yeah. You just got to let the people do what they do best.
Right. Each movie, each character has their own style, obviously. Each director has their own style. But I think there's a common thread throughout all of it. And I think in recent films, it's the multiverse. That's what ties everything together. That's what gives all the characters a chance to come back from the dead and all these things. And that's how Feige is going to keep making these movies for the next couple decades, if not longer.
Yeah, we're never going to hear the end of the multiverse at this point. I mean, they've coined this specific saga the multiverse saga. And moving ahead, I'm sure it's going to be stuff like the X-Men. More of them, obviously, after this one. Fantastic Four got announced recently.
That's right.
With the buyout of Fox, they have a lot of new directions they could go.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And they're really just printing money because, again, this movie worldwide right now, the box office is almost $500 million.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane for a first weekend.
It's an event movie.
Yeah.
People knew they had to be there.
Yeah.
Butts in the seats.
Yeah. And so the multiverse, and also you've got, again, like 60 plus years of comic book material to go through. So from that vantage point, you can take all those stories and create even more content. I'm sure they haven't even, they've scratched the surface, sure, and they've done very well in the last 20 years, but I think they could go even further.
Well, it's funny you said it's for both of you because once again, rumors, right? Nobody knows what's in Kevin Feige's alleged whiteboard where he has things mapped out for the next 15 years. But a lot of people actually believe it's going to be a soft reboot after the multiverse saga because it's gotten too complicated and that hurt some of the older movies, right?
Okay.
So we do a soft reboot, do the new storylines, but then we simplify it more for the average fan. Because it's true, a lot of these movies are homework movies. You have to watch and be up to date before you go in. If not, half these cameos go straight over your head. You'll enjoy the movie, but you may not know every little joke.
Right. This weekend, literally, I watched the first 2 Deadpools and Logan and some recap videos on YouTube, and there was still stuff that went over my head. Like, I am one of those casual Marvel fans, I'll be honest with you. I used to be more into DC, but that's another episode. Yeah. With Marvel, it's just like it's a little too much. Like you've got 34 feature films. You've got like 10 series on Disney Plus.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Plus, other stuff, other content out there. It's really overwhelming. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's exciting and cool. And I know I've known you for quite a while, and
Yeah, just a bit.
I know you used to watch. You were into Spider-Man and the X-Men animated series of the '90s.
Of course.
So I'm just curious from your standpoint, looking back, did you think it was going to be this crazy, Marvel-wise?
The cartoons never made me think that way because it's like anything else. Until you see the proof of concept, you don't believe it.
Okay.
DC reigns supreme.
Yeah.
Batman, Superman, the '70s, those were big.
Right.
When I started believing I might see things was Raimi's Spider-Man.
Okay.
That changed it. It's like, okay.
That was like the start of the modern superhero adventure film, I'd say.
From a box office perspective, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give Blade, and talking about cameos, the credit there. He doesn't get the credit deserved, but he was showing that they can do something with this. It just, Blade wasn't as big of a character as Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was. Blade had a hard time finding an audience because how can you sympathize with a vampire? He was like a hitman, right? He was like a mercenary, kind of like Wade Wilson. But yeah, I liked the Blade movies, but they didn't have enough oomph to usher us into that new era of superhero films. But I'm curious, Mitch, you're a little younger than us. What were some of your early superhero memories?
Sure. So, yeah, I was born in '99. So, growing up, the Raimi trilogy, I had a box set of the original X-Men trilogy. So,
Nice.
those were the films that I grew up watching. And my uncle, of course, got me super into superheroes. He probably got me the box set, for all I remember.
I did.
Yeah.
Nice. Good choice there, sir.
100%.
Kids need an education.
But looking forward, I never really, I wasn't even allowed to watch the first Iron Man. So,
Really?
yeah, I guess it was a little too graphic at the time,
Oh.
But compared to X-Men, I don't know. Got to ask my parents about that. But yeah, to see what Marvel's grown into since those trilogies back then, it's night and day.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the movie that really wowed me in terms of the modern superhero film. I really enjoyed the first Captain America. I thought that was really a good. I liked Iron Man,
Okay.
but I think I prefer the character of Steve Rogers.
So you're going to tell me, because I know you, as we said, for years,
Yeah.
Batman '89 didn't do it for you?
Oh no. Well, no, I meant like in the 21st century.
Okay. All right.
But no, if we're gonna go, we're gonna segue to DC now because I like where your head's at. But yeah, '89 Batman. I was 4 years old. We had to leave in the middle of it because I had like a temper tantrum. I was 4, but 3 years later, 1992. I was 7, so I was a little more mature. I was a little more ready for a superhero film.
Willing to receive.
Yes. And Batman Returns is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time.
Yeah.
It's tied with the original Batman, which I eventually saw on VHS. And then things got a little weird with Joel Schumacher. It's sad. Batman Forever is like, where's Michael Keaton? And then of course, Batman and Robin is atrocious. So that was kind of the end of Batman in the 90s. Fast forward a little bit to 2005, we have Batman Begins, which rebooted the whole franchise, which was nice. And it was a new appreciation for the DC universe. But let's not get on a tangent. Back on Marvel. I wanted more of this movie. I think it could have gone another 40 minutes. Yeah.
Easily.
I wanted more Mary Poppins.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Dog pool.
Dog pool,
Yeah.
baby pool, lady pool,
Mm-hmm.
all the pools in the multiverse. It's a little crazy.
I mean, I think the oldest rule of show business, keep them wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
If this was longer, I don't know if it would be as good. I'm sure I know they cut stuff
Oh, sure. Oh, man.
off.
I would love to see the deleted scenes.
Those 2 hours went by.
They did.
So fast.
They really did. Well, maybe that's because we're all as modern moviegoers, we're used to the 2 hour plus runtime. And it's like second nature. Like
That's fair.
we're used to it.
Used to be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Now it's 3.
I don't even think there has been a movie that has been an hour and a half in theaters lately.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Unless something animated, probably. But
Or a streamer.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I think Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was an hour 55 minutes, and that was like short. It felt really brisk. So, yeah, here we are, 2+ hours. But I'm sure the deleted scenes and bloopers are pretty crazy.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies where I don't usually get physical copies of movies anymore,
Oh,
but I
yes,
might go
you
out of my
do.
way to
Yeah.
not
Who are you
very
kidding?
specific ones.
Yeah, I think I had the first one on Blu-ray, but I have everything digitally now.
Yeah.
It's a new era. I did like the subtle advancements to Deadpool's suit,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely love the throwback to yellow Wolverine suits. That was great. That was really refreshing.
100%.
Yeah,
And the mask.
that was cool.
They saved it, but once it didn't look cheesy, which everybody said that's why they waited this long to do so. It was on point. It was aggressive. It was like you felt like this guy can really mess somebody up.
Yeah, and it had a serious Batman vibe to it too. The helmet, the eyes.
Well, you know the joke they say about Wolverine, right?
Remind me.
If you see an animated picture of Wolverine, it looks like 2 Batman's profiles kissing.
That's very
You can
weird.
never unsee it. I'm telling you. If you Google it, it
Yeah.
looks like 2 Batmans kissing.
I'll do it later. But I'll hold you to that. I trust you on that one. I wanted to mention 2 of the villains, actually. One of them played by Emma Corrin, who is an English actress.
Cassandra Nova?
Yeah, she was in The Crown. She played Princess Diana.
She played
Oh,
Princess
wow.
Di.
Yeah.
I just
So
put
they
that
got
together.
a real strong actress.
Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this is a huge budget of a movie. So I thought she was a very interesting villain, being the sister of Charles Xavier, or was it half sister?
The comics,
Yeah.
it's they're slightly different versions of it, but ultimately it was an alien entity. Some have said it's a twin that was evil and then was killed in the womb, and therefore once left the body over time, grew into a person with hatred for Charles Xavier.
Okay.
That would be the Cliff Notes version of this character.
Thank you for that wonderful, in-depth explanation. And also, I just want to give a shout out to Matthew McFadden, from Succession,
Oh, yeah.
who works for the Time Variance Authority, TVA, which is a major plot point of this movie. And he's just like a slimy, real jerk of a guy. And his British accent really kind of emphasizes that character. He just sounds villainous.
So my question to both of you, and
Yes,
maybe
sir.
I'm the odd man out on this one, is they have a great backstory, but were they actually good villains? Or is it more of the same with Marvel, where you have a villain, but it's just not that great?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
They played it well.
I guess they're not villains. They do want to keep the timelines of the universe intact, right? So they're basically just doing their job. But Mr. Paradox, I guess he took things a little the wrong way. He wanted to do his job, obviously, but I guess it just wasn't up to snuff, and it seemed like it was doing more harm than good. So
I could second that. I could see this film having a little bit of the Marvel villain syndrome, where they just kind of fell flat. That's a little bit aggressive. They were good.
Yeah.
They were great villains. But, you know, of course the spotlight's always going to be on the heroes.
Sure.
So,
However, most action adventures or superhero movies, especially with James Bond movies, the villain is usually the most interesting character. Like in this, we wanted to see more Logan. We wanted to see more
Right.
Wade Wilson. And yeah, the villains did kind of fall flat. I've heard from other reviews that this plot is a little paper thin. It's not as strong as some of the previous Marvel films, and I kind of agree with some of that.
Mhm.
But overall, I think this film did great. It made me excited to go back to the movies. In a time where everything is sequels and reboots, etc. This is a sequel, but it feels fresh. Well, just like the first Deadpool did, just like X-Men did back in 2000, I'd say.
Mhm.
So, we've got a really interesting film. It's got layers to it. It's not just funny. It's kind of heartbreaking at times, especially the scenes with Morena Baccarin.
Yeah.
Was it Vanessa Carlyle, Wade Wilson's love interest in the first two films?
I wanted more of her.
Yeah,
Always like her.
she's a great character, and it adds depth to him. Like they definitely have a nice back and forth. She's like the yin to his yang, and
She was definitely put into the background,
yeah,
but she was such a huge part of the first two, so I kind of understand why they did that.
right.
But definitely could have used some more of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just a great couple, and I wanted to
Sure.
see more of that. And more baby pool, more dog pool, all the fun pools. So, gentlemen, we have a few minutes left, and I'm just real curious. Mitch, favorite superhero movie of all time? Not just Marvel, not just DC.
Ooh, okay. Off the bat, Spider-Man 2
Nice.
has always been my top. I'm a Spider-Man fanboy. I'm from Queens. I'm sorry, but
You're in good company, obviously. We're all from Queens.
there we go. Yeah,
We're all Peter Parkers at heart.
of course. And Miles Morales also. That's where I was going to go next. The Into and Across the Spider-Verse movies have been absolutely just mind-breaking. I
Nice.
mean, they're on a level of their own. So
That's awesome.
yeah, those would be my top.
Good
three.
choices, sir. Good
Thank you.
choices. Kevin, I think I know you a bit.
You're gonna try and read me? All right, let's go.
I would say Spider-Man 2 as well for you.
I actually like one better than two, so I'm in minority on that
So
one.
do I, actually.
And everything he said I agree with,
Mm.
but I have to always give credit to Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Oh, Winter
It's just
Soldier.
Oof. Just a great movie.
My
Great.
favorite MCU film.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. And great fight choreography. Like,
Yeah.
It's really intense and
Yeah.
it's like ferocious. It's crazy.
Speaking of the Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers are returning for the next two Avengers films.
My favorite movie, favorite superhero movie is probably a top. All right, I'm going to lump Batman 89 and Batman Returns together because I was a kid during all of that, early 90s, late 80s. It was just great time, great figures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kenner and Toy Biz had some great action figure lines back then. Anyway, what do we got? 2 minutes. Great. Okay. Biggest takeaway from San Diego Comic-Con for you gentlemen?
Give you the floor first.
Just like one big one.
I mean, it's got to be Robert Downey Jr. is coming back
Of course.
as
of course,
Doom. I
of
mean,
course.
everything is secondary to that.
Now, is that, I'm assuming that's multiverse related?
Very ambiguous right now.
Right.
All just assumptions at this point.
Okay.
But we know he's coming back, and that's going to be his character's name.
That's right.
How it navigates in there, to be determined.
We're still going.
Oh, yeah.
Feige, let's keep going. All right, gentlemen. So, real quick, plugs. Any projects you're working on? Anything you want to give a shout out to?
No plugs, but I got to say, just as a little tip of my hat to you, Deadpool and Wolverine, great pop music choices in your movie. Madonna should be kissing their feet. I never thought Like a Prayer could work
Okay.
in the scenes that they put it in. Or
Fair.
even the trailer, for that matter.
Very good point. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, no, all of the Deadpool movies have great soundtracks and scores. Rob Simonson, he did the score for this one, but yeah, it's a solid score. Mitch, how about you? Any plugs?
Yeah, sure. I'll throw my Instagram in there.
Cool.
It's my name, Mitchell G99.
There
Yeah,
you go.
That's all.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. This was a great episode as usual. Kevin, thank you as you're a recurring guest,
Thank you.
critic, and a great friend. So thank you
You
for
too.
that. And Mitch, thank you for being here for the first time. hopefully we'll have you back many more times.
Definitely. Glad to be
Awesome.
here. Thank you.
Cool. So, guys, if you want to check out new episodes of Under the Radar, you can check them out on Slam Radio through SiriusXM every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Also, the video version of this podcast will air on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and that's every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Also, feel free to subscribe to the Under the Radar YouTube channel. Subscribe and share the love. Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together, one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.